another kind of a suspicion on Dan. Dan said he needed to go to the hospital. Dan, you know what a person looks like when they need to go to the hospital, Honeycomb, from your various types of training and conditioning. And while he puts up the act for a bit, at some point during the process of you tooling around, you realize he doesn't need a hospital. Gary Phillips needs 2 hospitals. Dan doesn't even need the free clinic.
I'm full up on my level 1 harms.
You just don't look like you're bleeding out.
Oh my god.
To the average eye, I'm just saying. We mouse over Gary and we see he has a level 3, a couple level 2s. That's a busted up guy.
And he's like, I'm fine.
You don't win the
Gary's gonna be
tag
like a
titles
cat.
without getting thrown through some tables.
You're gonna be like in a hospital bed hooked up to the IV, but you'll still be like pushed around everywhere, and somehow you can fight back.
Let me get a Ando guy. Find the guy that you were helping through this place. It's gonna be this guy. This guy's too interesting to be a random guy, but it is him. You're running alongside him down the stairwell into the main area of the car park. He's looking around. Is there some kind of shootout up there? Who are you anyway?
Oh, you mean the guy that I just... Oh.
Yeah, a guy you're helping find his wife.
He looks like actual me. How did you do that? Or at least
have to
actual
save
about 20.
actual G-dubs. Or you die in real life.
They've been training AI on MetaNet models for years now.
I just like how you said models. That's nice. I know you didn't mean supermodels. Okay, so I can tell him I'm like a... I should say I have like some training in like, what are some things that they have besides CPR that I would be certified in?
You can tell him you're a paramedic or you're with airport security, maybe. It'd be if you're wanting to just...
I think paramedic would
this
be
guy.
more believable.
Yeah.
I'll tell him a paramedic and I know about protocol for active shooter situations, or at least most people do after the shooting in '99.
Yeah, I saw some sketchy people riding bikes coming through here. You think maybe they're involved? They look like they were in a gang.
Maybe, but I think I'm gonna see if I can check on them next, actually, but it's too dangerous for you to do that. And I imagine someone already called the cops anyway.
I don't have a cell phone. I hope somebody did.
Well, let's get you safe first. You wouldn't want to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah, well, I hope my wife is just staying in the car. We were parked at B7 or 8. Somewhere around there.
Okay.
You want to get this guy motivated and led quickly to his parking spot.
Yeah, I don't want him to like push him aside. I want him to come with me as I find his wife.
And he's kind of panicky. So you're going to have to calm his nerves a little bit here.
I want to at least redirect his nerves so he's feeling productive, because that should... If that were me, that's how I'd calm down. It's like, oh, I could do something.
Yeah. Give him something else to think about, talk about. The family. What's the name of your family? The wife, the kids. You know,
You got it. I see you've been watching as much Law and Order as I used to.
Yeah. You try to get him to snap out of it. What spirit helps with that? What's weird is I could see Mirror obviously being super helpful. Balance can kind of put you in a calm state, and put him in a calm
Kind
state.
of the pulse, I guess.
Pulse is fine, yeah, Pulse is good. Pulse is also maybe helpful toward retracing his steps, guiding him back the way he came, reuniting him with his family. Pretty pulse-oriented.
Yeah. Plus, I can check his pulse. Just
It's like 130.
oh. I'm just remembering in actually, I don't want to spoil it, but it was from Ghostbusters Afterlife.
The worst thing that could happen is if this guy hears whatever your team is taking care of above. If there's some kind of shootout up there with a bunch of Russian mobsters, this guy and his family shouldn't hear about it. So that's the risk. You're covering for the agency a little bit and helping this guy get back to where he's going.
I mean, at the very least, he'll be safe, even if he does reveal anything. And that's arguably the most important bit. I don't want to risk him not just knowing about it, but deciding to get more involved than he already is.
Yeah. So, roll her up.
Did you already take,
Oh, wait.
the college into account?
I did not. What's weird is I could see this being decisive in a way you don't yet know, if you want to make it decisive, or you can reduce the risk, just save. Can have a free roll.
I'm going to reduce the risk.
Okay.
Because if we don't exactly find them, at least be like, well, we're trying. And I don't have to risk any boosts. So that's more important. Okay.
Guy's nerves are pretty calm. He can see the car off in the distance. He sees his wife in there peering out through the windshield. She doesn't even know there's a shooter yet. As I've said, this place is so noisy. Like gunfire going off on 2 floors above, you wouldn't even be able to hear these like little SMGs. And so she looks kind of blissfully unaware in there. And as you have him pretty calmed down, you see a small group of people moving through the car park, and one of them says, "What's going on? Is everybody safe?" And this guy actually speaks up. You've calmed him down to the point where he takes a bit of charge of the situation. He says, "There might be a shooter. Just get back to your car and get out of here. Just leave." "Oh, okay." And this family nods. They move off in their own direction. "Hey, I think I can take it from here. It looks like they're safe."
That's really big of you.
"Hey, thanks for the help. What'd you say your name was?"
Do I want to give away my real name for this chap? I'll ask myself. I'll ask my now scarfless self.
No.
I heard a mysterious no there.
I don't have a demon on my shoulder. I have a fucking honeycomb on my shoulder. and like Dan's on the other one. Except they both say no. I'm just like, oh.
Dan on the other shoulder's like, why don't you tell her you're a member of Chapter House?
That's even better. Chapter House, Hive! Chapter House, Hive! Yeah, I'm gonna use a,
Use the pseudonym Dr. Motz.
yeah.
"Well, thanks for the help. You're a lifesaver, literally." And he hops into his car, and he and his wife speed off down out of the car park.
If he ever, like, inquires about me, like, for real, like, or anyone in that case who knows my pseudonym, I'm just gonna, like, write it away as being, like, a pen name, in case that ever comes up.
Grant comes over to where you are, Kachina, and Grant says, "Sounds like the shit's hitting the fans up there."
Oh, he's out from camera mode?
Yeah. He's come over to find you.
Okay. Okay, I don't know how far away that was. That's all. Yeah, let's check the others.
Well, I want to do that, but I've been getting these weird readings on the tuner, so I think the plutonion is pretty close to here. Maybe if we find it while they're taking care of that, we can get everyone into this place.
Well, the rest of the civilians seem to have left, so we have plenty of cover right now.
Yeah, could be a good opportunity to sneak in.
Oh, we're already in. Jump cut, we're already in.
Grant shows you the tuner a bit, and you and he are walking around navigating through this space to try to find the entrance to the plutonion.
Oh, do I see the measurement on it this time?
Yeah, you can see that the words haven't changed, and maybe they won't change until you're in the plutonion. It still says AM, FM, like it's a radio. But it is making this kind of staticky sound as he's searching around. It says, I thought the plutonion was going to be in the airport, but I think it's right here in the car park, which I find very strange. I mean, are we going to go into one of those other spaces and it's just a million-story tall car park or something?
It's gonna be something. I don't think it's gonna be that. At the very least, we shouldn't run into any more of you. I'm gonna just put my foot in my mouth for that one.
As dangerous as it is in those places, I almost feel safer there than being out here dealing with real-life mobsters.
Yeah, but now we have to worry about mobster ghosts. I don't like that.
Yeah.
The Scorelli brothers! No, I'm just kidding.
Kachina, while he's playing hot cold with this device, you're with him, and you're kind of leading him around, but what you're looking at is also the real world. Where might an entrance be in such a place that's so samey, so nondescript, for lack of a better word? What spirit might you pull upon to just kind of guide you to where you need to be, or to look at things in your surroundings that might stand out? Might be the entrance. Remember that one of them was like an escalator into darkness. The one before that was just an empty stretch of desert.
Yeah, and that's not very particular because that could have just been any part of the desert.
Yeah, although you did have to go far enough there weren't any more roads, so it did have a kind of a quality about it. You had to go far enough that you couldn't see the way home.
Well, now that you say that, you make me think that the Plutonians would move if the location would make more sense to them. Like, maybe they don't always stay in the same spot, or at least since they've been here.
Yeah, that would sync up with what the readings were telling you back in the agency. Remember that they were tracking down places that felt like they were moving or drifting or kind of flowing naturally. And that's why time is of the essence, because where you pinpointed them, and the layout that Gary drew for your travels is only going to be valid for so long before you'll have to update it.
All right, where's Waldo this?
Glamour. I do really like glamour here. I like it a lot.
Cool.
Yeah.
This will be an unboosted roll for sure. Even though it'll be fine.
I think a failure here just means it takes longer than you thought. But that has not happened. So, you're starting to feel like these places signify thresholds, right? A way of passage from one place into another. It's not just going to be sitting in the middle of the car park. It's going to be at one of the exits from the car park, you figure. And so as you're walking around this floor, you see the one that says departures level. and then you wind up going down a floor because it says you're very close, but you know when you're really close to an objective in a video game and you find it looks like you're right on it, you find out it's either up or down instead. This one happens
Yeah,
to
that's
be.
why Metroid Prime is so good, because its 3D maps actually fucking work.
You need that arrow, the up or down arrow on the little mini map. Your mini map is telling you that you're very close, but the distance you have to cover is either up or down. And down makes more sense to you. So you head down to the first floor where it says hotel level. And nobody is coming or going from the hotel that this connects to. I'm not even really sure of the name of the hotel that this car park hooks up with, except that you can leave this car park and just enter directly into the airport or the hotel that it adjoins to.
That's interesting.
And it's right here at this entrance into the hotel that this tuner is going wild.
Okay. Do we see the tuner get modified?
It doesn't change yet. But Grant says, I think this is it. I mean, I feel like if we walk through these doors into the hotel, we'll be there. Maybe it's just good fortune that no strangers have wandered in on their own.
It's not the right time of day, anyway. Do we want to wait for the others to find this spot with us?
We should call them up.
Yeah, let's call them up. I don't want to go in here with just us.
And do you think there's a way we could barricade this particular entrance to the hotel? If random people start stumbling into these, plutonions, we're going to be in a whole mess of trouble.
Got some spare tape?
He looks around for a moment, finds a length of that, that chain that's painted bright yellow. Finds a length of that chain. This looks like an official barricading kind of thing. So once we're all assembled, we can chain this place up behind us, all squeeze through, and we'll be inside.
Excellent.
Whom in the group do you want to call Kachina now that you've found the plutonion?
I'm going to call... I think I want to call Honeycomb.
Okay. Honeycomb, as you and Gary are loading the last of the random corpses into the back of the truck, somewhere in the courtyard of the car park, Kachina calls your cell phone.
I don't have one.
Okay. Go for Honeycomb.
Hey, this is Agent Welch. We found an entrance to the plutonion right in this car park.
What floor are you at?
I tell him the floor.
Ground floor, and then you give the location, kind of.
On my way.
Yeah. Actually, it's like that walkie-talkie sound. It's like, that sounds like...
Little chirp. Yeah.
Honored to be in your 5 right now, Kachina.
Truck rolls up. The whole team is now reassembled. Brian Chen looks to you, Gary, and says, if you don't mind, I can take the keys and put this truck somewhere no one will find it or the bodies. And I'll stay with it on the roof till you guys are done.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
He's not ready for fucking plutonian nonsense.
Yeah, I'm not much in the business of traveling between worlds or whatever, but Making sure nobody finds corpses. I think I can handle that. Good luck in there. You mind if I watch you guys go in? I haven't seen anything supernatural yet. Thought it might be cool.
No?
Sweet. The team pops out of the truck. The doors open up. I guess Brian Chen can be the one who barricades the entrance to the hotel behind you so random passersby don't barge in.
Yeah.
And now you guys enter the Plutonion. One sec. Speeding us along pretty rapidly there, but there was a bit of time. If there's anything that you wanted to get done before the team went in there, in particular you, Dan, you had kind of a climactic encounter with one of somebody you worked with, but also somebody who Gary worked with for some time. The repercussions of Bogdanov's death haven't really hit everyone so hard yet. He wasn't just working with Chapter House, apparently, but he was also pretty tied up in a lot of Gary's business dealings. It's probably good that he's out of the way now, but yeah. Is there anything you wanted to do in particular, Dan, in that period of time? You could have found a chance to be alone and maybe make a call to some member of Chapter House, or found a payphone and called back to the agency.
I can't think of what I feel comfortable doing over the phone here. I think this requires some in-person attention that I can't do right now.
Maybe you were just being very helpful with Honeycomb and Gary in cleaning up the bodies, wiping up some of the blood, doing some of that.
Yeah, I patched myself up and I'm part of the team.
Yeah. And maybe, I think during this process, it's clear that whatever secrets there still is between the two of you, Honeycomb, you still have the sense Dan is a part of this team. Nobody could do what Dan does, and the cleanup requires some Dan Cunningham finesse. He knows where the bullet casings landed, for instance, from the SMG fire, which is kind of a wild thing to track down during the process, but an important thing.
Anytime I'm in the presence of Dan going forward, I'm going to have my hand on my gun.
Just in case.
It's going to make you a slow cleaner upper.
That's fine.
In fact, I will say, at the end of that scene, I said that one guy fired a whole clip from his SMG. Dan finds exactly 30 shell casings at the bottom of this ramp and pockets all 30 of them. He can account for an entire Uzi clip and knows there won't be any of that evidence left behind. So whatever that half trace I left you on before, I'm putting it back to no trace because of Dan's choice here.
It hasn't come up before, but Dan is mildly autistic in this way.
I imagine Dan could recite the number of bullets in a wide variety of different guns.
He knows the number of
As
bullets
long as you're
in
not
mine.
Rain Manning it. Yeah.
He knows the last bullet in by.
A small number, but it just keeps going.
Okay.
Homemade or McDonald's?
You know what's weird is Maya bought one of those big packs of the kind of pies you get from McDonald's, but just sold at the store. And now there's like 40 of them laying around. And each one has 700 calories. I can't eat these things. They're just too dense.
I'll be over in 15.
All right, let me get us to a new backdrop.
You have to pretend you're Pac-Man when you eat them. Like because they're so dense, like you're only going to be able to focus on sitting down to eat
You gotta
them
eat it
like
like
every so often, so you have to eat like 3 at a time.
I just clicked on the wrong map.
You have to like stack them up
Mm.
and chomp down through them like a Pac-Man.
You know, Pac-Man was shaped like a pie, but he famously ate ghosts.
He eats pellets.
He does.
And ghosts.
Nobody look at the card room. We've already been here. This isn't the right map.
And pretzels and a freaking bell.
The card room's back. We're doomed.
Eric Musso is back.
It's Hotel California.
I kind of wish you guys wouldn't kill off all my best villains. These guys are really cool NPCs.
Stop putting them out there.
You have to wait for the
Instead of
afterlife
putting
pulse.
us in the room with them, just have them call us.
They're so easy to kill.
Yeah, have them send emails more often.
You rolled stupid.
Like emails piss people off, even more than when someone's in your face telling you that you have to do something stupid.
I severed 3 spirits to kill this motherfucker.
That is true. It took some.
Like if he starts all of his emails with, "I just wanted to touch base."
Hello, it's me again. Just touching base.
That's gonna make me more likely to kill him.
Yeah,
Can we
exactly.
circle around to the earlier discussion?
I just wanted to float this back up.
Okay. Once you guys pass through the open door, kind of swings open, shuts behind you, you can hear the clang, and you're walking forward, and there's this smell of cleaner in the air. There's this crisp, cool air. Mentioned how the whole car park was just like circulating that loud wind. But it wasn't cool. It was just driving hot air around at a high speed, which probably sucks even worse in most cases. But here you're hit with this nice, cool air conditioning. And before even your vision takes hold, you can feel what it's like to be in a nice climate-controlled hotel. You are walking forward, each of you, individually. You feel like you walked in a group of 5, but as you're walking through this dark, sort of hazy mental space for a few moments, isolated. And after walking forward a little more, you see a long hallway down a hotel shaping in front of you. You see passages on the left and right jutting out every now and again along this very, very long passageway. You see doors to rooms on one side of the hall.
Boys to men.
Gary is here by himself, walking into this space. You look around for any of the people you came with, Gary, and you don't see anyone around. You're in a long stretch of hotel. You know you're in the Plutonion now, so whatever happens from here on forward is going to be weird, slightly supernatural. But you didn't think that you'd be pulled away from the rest of your team so quickly. What spirit is going to help you just get a sense of where you're standing? Just like in the first 60 seconds of being here, lets you maybe piece out what's wrong and what's right.
Instinct.
Instinct it is. I like it. Rely on the eyes and the ears. I will give you one piece of information, and that's that wherever you are, you don't have a sense that your friends are anywhere nearby. After that cleanup job that you worked with them on for the last half hour to an hour, you now feel entirely alone. The other weird thing is that in a hotel, there's some sense of organization. Like, usually you walk down a long hallway and there's individual rooms running on both the left and the right, and the numbers count up in a certain way. It feels like this place is poorly organized. The space you've wandered into here makes very little sense. Does not feel like any hotel you've ever been in. And you're here for just a moment, Gary, before coming out of one of the adjoining hallways is Dan.
Crater Dan?
Dan, the guy you just saw an hour ago have a weird standoff with Honeycomb on the roof. You stayed quiet. You watched intently. He shot your old boss, the guy who had you under his debt for a decade. How does Gary feel about all that? You haven't really voiced it.
I'm gonna
but
call Dan over.
Dan, this is really you, and you haven't had much time at all to take stock of the situation you found yourself in. But it's you and Gary in the pocket dimension in this hotel. Gary calls you over. Let me paint the scene here too, Bobby, because the guy that you just got out from under, you sold off a bunch of your businesses to his holding company, which apparently was owned by not him directly, but yada yada. Are you happy that Bogdanov is dead and out of the picture, or is it weird to you?
I mean, because he was kind of holding me hostage with debt, like everybody else in America.
Yeah, and even when you were kind of out from under him directly, being so knotted up in his business,
like having Bogdanov as the official credit system wasn't really working out.
No.
So
you call Dan over. Dan,
yeah.
You're here. You see Gary summon you up.
Dan, you and Honeycomb done fighting?
I'm not sure I'm gonna be that lucky.
What do you mean?
I mean, I don't know that I've convinced him. He seems to have an axe to grind against me.
Well, you could just tell him it was the fake Dan.
It's not a bad idea.
Yep, just trying to help. Hey, thanks for wiping out Bogdanov. That guy was a Class A felon.
He was certainly causing problems, wasn't he? Well,
yeah, and that's the thing. I kind of wanted to ask him why, but then again, I remembered criminal. So, you kind of get the explanation without asking.
I would have loved to ask him a lot of questions, but he didn't really give us the opportunity.
No, and I don't know how he got tied into the agency or got people to spy from within the agency. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you, Dan?
I mean, I've got my suspicions, but that's all I've got at this point.
See, first I was thinking maybe Chin had something to do with it. I'm still not too sure he doesn't. I mean, I'd say it's Agent Hopkins because that guy could show up at any point in time. But he doesn't know anything about what we're doing now.
Don't take this the wrong way, but the person that I know had some connection to Bogdanov is you.
Yeah. Not anymore because he's dead. But yeah, I didn't really want to in the first place. I definitely wasn't giving him secrets directly. Now, I did catch him and his buddies stealing out my warehouse, and that's kind of what pissed me off.
The last guy that you blew his head to pieces with the shotgun was the other person that you clocked robbing agency secrets from your warehouse. So he got his comeuppance, but he was definitely part of the inside team.
Yeah, got him too. So, I mean, if that's where they were getting the info, they're all dead. So, I think we need to pay like real close attention now, because if they keep finding stuff out, somebody's telling them.
Ain't that the truth?
And we're going to need to go through and weed out who that is. I don't even have a cell phone to call them with.
I'm not sure that's necessarily the barrier to proof that we might hope it is.
Well, I mean, they're finding stuff out whenever they're not around to find it out.
I appreciate where you're coming from, but it's not as though we hadn't laid out exactly where we were going. We talked about it at HQ, we talked about it at the Hive, talked about it at the Road, even maybe at some of those hotels.
Maybe it's some higher level agency ops going on. Like the uppers are spying, and then they're triggering off certain events because they need them to happen.
You're thinking about
certain people in the way.
When you sat down, Gary, and drew up that whole path across California you've been driving. There's not a lot of people that saw it with their eyes. You haven't shared the map. You've been saying these destinations, but the people who saw it include the inner circle here. That girl, Ashley Weiss, that Grant vouches for. Masuda, Gabler, so like this row here. And then maybe anybody that they would report to, which would include Obadiah Powers. So if the mole isn't in your team, in your mind, it would have to be among these 4 people over on the left there, though. Those 4 NPCs in the top row.
So, at this point, with what I know, I would say it's more than one of them. And if I had to guess, I would say Gabler's the pawn, the actual spy is Ashley, and she's taking orders from Special Agent Obadiah Powers. I don't know exactly what role Nobu plays in here, but he's probably just a hostage that's doing stuff that...
Now, are you bringing any of these thoughts to Dan, or is this inside of Gary's head here?
Well, I'm telling Dan actually now, but that's what I think right now. I guess I was rolling it through my head, but probably out loud so that Dan could chime in.
You hear Gary musing through these thoughts about Obadiah being a potential string puller, about Gabler maybe being a patsy or a pawn in some way. Ashley Weiss being a kind of a technologist and mastermind that mapped stuff out. She was pretty helpful in finding where all of these plutonions were. Meanwhile, you've just been kind of walking down this long stretch of this hotel, kind of aimlessly, as passageways and doors pass you by. You want to remark on any of these people he's bringing up, or do you want to let him kind of stew in his own head about it for now?
It's interesting you bring up Agent Powers. Chen is one of the newer members of our team, but Powers is not that much more established at the agency than he is.
Well, and here's what I was thinking at first. I was thinking it might be Chen, but who better than the guy that has oversight and control over all these people? He might make it look like Chen was doing it for a minute until we figured out it wasn't him.
Chen shows up. It is me. Let's chend this. No.
The funny thing is, we know way more about Brian Chen than we do about Powers. We know he used to work security for the Cosmosophers. We know he tried to branch out on his own. And we know he got hired, essentially, as a contractor, but now working as an agent. What do we know about Powers? Where is he from?
Don't know shit. That's the problem.
He showed up and replaced Izzy, who hired you. You replaced Tacho in a way. There's a lot of people that left when Powers showed up.
He fired Tacho. Now, Tacho we had history with, or at least I did. You didn't know him as well as I did, but Tacho and I went back 30 years.
Yeah, something's up with this guy. I'm starting to realize all of them probably left because they couldn't get along with that guy. And whatever he was changing, whatever he was put in there to do. Because he's got an agenda.
Well, I suppose we've got our hypothesis. We'll put it to the test. Put the screws to Mr. Powers. Show him what real power is. That's if Honeycomb doesn't put a bullet in the back of my head while I'm sleeping.
Well, let me talk to Honeycomb because we just figured some shit out and he needs to just deal with it for now. But if I was you and he asked you about it, I'd just tell him you wasn't even there. It was a fake one.
Does Dan sleep face down?
Yeah.
Sleeps gun on top of his pillow instead of underneath. You mentioned Honeycomb again. When the two of you realize where you're standing, you realize it's just the two of you still. There's no Honeycomb, there's no Cucino or Grant. You saw them all when you walked in. But it's just the two of you alone down this stretch of weird hotel. I'm going to call for a roll from Dan here, just about taking in his surroundings. He had to cut ties with 3 pretty powerful spirits just to take out one Russian mob lord, and I think that was the right move. That could have gone so many different ways, but it's wild that Bogdanov died there with only Dan sharing in the final moments. You want drama to help you out engaging your surroundings here. Under the auspices that this might be like a stage set by somebody, this is a lie crafted by the universe, perhaps. What's the name of that?
It's fake. It's a fugazi.
Okay, I like it. I do like it. So while you're moving through, you're looking at the hotel room doors. You're walking past these long hallways, and you realize that the doors have numbers on them, but they don't ascend. They don't do anything appropriate. The numbers are kind of nonsensical. You see 178, and then the next room over is 405, and then so on. Just random 3-digit numbers on these doors you're passing.
Hey, Gary, you noticed that all of these lock from the inside only? Wait, also the numbers are wrong.
Wait a second. Is there any I guess okay, once he points out that they're wrong, is there any kind of like order or sequence I'd be able to pull out of the way that they're numbered based on the way things would be like stocked in warehouses? Because like they have like aisles and aisles of different shit that are like numbered based on what's there, not what's the shelf number. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's fascinating. You want to relate the order of the numbers to something in your life. Well, get a spirit ready to kind of like maybe jog your memory or attach something to these numbers. And we'll add that it feels like drama has told you this place is how a thing looks in a dream. Like when you grab a phone in a dream, all the numbers are just kind of weird. And if you're trying to remember the way a space looks in a dream, things are in the wrong place. You see a passageway behind you that has an ice maker in it, and then 5 feet after that ice machine, there's a second ice machine. There's 2 in a row in this one weird corridor that then bends again at the end. So not only is it that no hotel should look this way, nothing should really be constructed this way. It is a very unusual space. And as you're looking over the numbers, Gary, they do look remarkably random to you. But give me a whispers roll there to see if anything directly jumps out to you.